Animal diversity. So what are the characteristics of animals? Animals are from the eukaryotic kingdom. They're eukaryotic multicellular organisms. They're known to be heterotrophs because they don't make their own food, and they depend on other organisms for nutrition. Unlike eukaryotic members, animals would have a nucleus and membrane bond organelles, like a lot of membrane bond organelles. And unlike plants and fungi, they do not have cell walls. In fact, if animals did have cell wall, their nerve systems and whatever would not function properly or at all. So yeah, in humans and animals in general, we don't have cell walls, only cell membrane. Okay. Oh yeah, and the cell membrane, it would usually be made of cholesterol, which is a lipid, basically, a form of lipid steroid. And yeah, moving on. Animal structure and function. Animals would have specific tissues and organs. Their cells basically specialize to make specific tissues and organs. Like we have a brain, nerve systems, but the nerve systems does not have the same cells as those of the eye or the stomach. So yeah, and this is important. This is crucial for animal survival because, well, it's very obvious. So you could have different senses or functions. Like for example, the nervous system would give you the sensory function. You could sense things, and muscular gives you the ability to move your muscles, basically, and so on. The closed digestive system and whatever. Most animals spend the majority of their time as diploid organisms. We're talking about animal reproduction now. Okay, so yeah, they spend most of their time most of their life as diploid organisms, and they would pretty much all of them would produce sexually. And when an egg and a sperm would fuse, they would create a zygote that would evolve into an embryo, and that embryo would grow into an adult, basically. And this process to reach this stage, like the embryo stage, the zygote would have to undergo meiosis, obviously. It's all common sense now. Now comes the new stuff. So how are animals classified? Animals would usually be classified based on their structure, based on how they look like, their internal structure and whatever. And a main example is the vertebrates and invertebrates. So let's start with the invertebrates. Invertebrates are animals without a backbone or a vertebral column. Examples on invertebrates include insects, worms, jellyfish, sponges, and they make up 95% of the animal kingdom. 95% of animals don't have a backbone. Now vertebrates would have a backbone, and we'll get to that later. Okay, I was about to say something, but we'll get to it later. Yeah, they make up 5% of animals, and examples are fish, elephants, dogs, I guess, and cats, reptiles and mammals in general, and also birds. Now, invertebrates would have an exoskeleton to support the lack of having a backbone. They would have an exoskeleton, which is like a skeleton but on the outside. Would it be made of chitin, which is a hard, tough outer covering? And yeah. Now for the vertebrates, it would have an endoskeleton, and that endoskeleton, it basically is support for the body from the inside. However, endoskeleton does not necessarily mean they have a backbone. When I previously mentioned they have a backbone, I meant they have like internal supporting bones. Like some animals, like what? I don't have examples now, but some animals don't have a backbone, but they have other support bones from the inside. Yeah, I don't think they include mammals. I'm pretty sure there's not a single mammal without a backbone, but with other bones. But endoskeletons, just know endoskeletons does not always include a backbone. Now, moving on, we have types of body symmetry. Okay, so we have 3 types of body symmetry. We have asymmetry, which is not having symmetry, radial symmetry, and bilateral symmetry. Asymmetry example would include sponges. Sponges don't have like symmetry at all. Radial symmetry, we have examples like jellyfish, sea sponges, and radial symmetry means that you could divide them into 2 equal halves. And lastly, bilateral symmetry. Now, bilateral symmetry is a bit more advanced, a more advanced type of symmetry, which would like allow you to divide into 2 equal halves, but they would be equal like three-dimensionally, and most importantly, it allows for cephalization. Cephalization is the formation of nerve, like it's when nerves come together to make a brain. So basically, brain formation. Cephalization supports brain formation. And when you think about it, our brains, when you cut them in half, they would be 2 equal halves. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. In summary, animals are multicellular or eukaryotes that lack a cell wall. They obviously don't have a cell wall. All animals are heterotrophs, and animals have sensory organs, the ability to move, they have internal digestion, and they also have sexual reproduction. Now let's just do some questions regarding the thing we just did. Identify traits that characterize all animals. The vast majority, they produce sexually. They have multiple organs. They're all heterotrophs, of course, multicellular eukaryotes. Moving on, state one way that animal cells can differ from the cells of plants and fungi. What are the significance of this difference? Animal cells don't have a cell wall, unlike plants and fungus. This is very important because it allows for our bodies to function normally. A main example is the nerve cells, as I mentioned earlier, or the neurons. Our neurons would not be able to function if they had cell walls surrounding them. Describe animal digestion. This was not talked about earlier. Okay, animal digestion, food goes in, food goes out. It didn't talk about it. It talks about it in the next section. I'm not sure why it's with these. Describe general animal life cycle. 2 parents would mate together to form an embryo. An embryo let's not start with the parents. Let's say sperm cell and the egg cell would fuse together, form a zygote. Zygote would form an embryo to adult, and the cycle keeps repeating. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the first section, and let's move on to the second. So the next section, invertebrate diversity. Digestive system. Invertebrates would have multiple things where they're diverse from each other in. Wait, let me rephrase that. The invertebrates differ from each other in like 4 things. Of course, more than 4 things, but we'll be focusing on the main 4. So first of all, we have the digestive system. Now, for invertebrates, we have 2 types of digestive systems. We have incomplete digestive system and a complete digestive system. So an incomplete digestive system is basically it will basically just have an opening for the mouth or entry for like food entering, then it goes to the stomach, and that's it. It doesn't have then the food would just be spat out of the mouth after it was digested. So the mouth functions as the entry and elimination, entry hole and elimination hole, I guess. For the other type, or complete digestive system, the creature would have 2 openings, one for entry and one for elimination. And this is this second type is the complete digestive system is would be like a lot more efficient at eating and whatever. So yeah. Incomplete animals with incomplete digestive system include the hydra and jellyfish. And for a complete digestive system, digestive system, we have roundworms and mammals in general. Now for movement, some invertebrates basically cannot move, such as sponges, jellyfish. Jellyfish could not move, by the way. They're just carried along with the water currents, and wherever the water takes them, they go, because they cannot move. They don't have muscles that could like contract and whatever. But on the other hand, we have other invertebrates that do have muscles that contract, like worms, like earthworms, and what else? Yeah, earthworms. I guess spiders. I don't know. Wait, no, spiders is a different thing. Is a different thing. Yeah. Spiders have like joint legs / appendages that would help them walk. They have like 8 legs, so walking would be pretty convenient for them, as well as climbing. And other invertebrates would have wings, just fly around, like a bee or a fly. Now moving on to the nervous system. The nervous system. Okay, so the simplest nervous system in invertebrates is basically just a nerve net. It's called a nerve net, and it helps you sense things. And that's pretty much it. However, other invertebrates would have a more complicated nervous system with a brain. Okay, so they would have a brain and nerves are all around their body and whatever. So yeah. And lastly, reproduction. Most vertebrates reproduce sexually, and others would reproduce asexually, but the vast majority is sexually, of course. If they reproduced asexually, it would either be by binary fission or budding. Now to summarize everything, let's just summarize everything now. So the majority of living things are invertebrates, and invertebrates lack a backbone. They may have a complete or incomplete digestive system. They vary in how complex their nervous system is. Most invertebrates would reproduce sexually or asexually by budding / fusion. And lastly, invertebrates would pass through this wasn't really mentioned in the section, but I guess it's nice to just say it. Invertebrates, after hatching or after being born, they would pass through one or more larval stages. An example is like a caterpillar would pass through a larval stage where it becomes a larva in order to turn into a butterfly. So yeah, they pass through one or more larval stages to reach adulthood. Now let's review. Describe the range of variation in the nervous system of invertebrates. Okay, so the range is between a nerve net all the way to a brain. And nerve net is the least complicated. It's the simplest. It will just give you the ability to sense things and touch and whatever. And the most complicated have a brain and the ability to touch, think, and whatever. Now, second question: compare and contrast between incomplete and complete digestive system. So an incomplete digestive system would have one opening that would function as both the entry and elimination hole, and the complete digestive system, however, would have two holes, one for entry of food, and the other is for elimination. And then generally the complete digestive system is more efficient at taking the nutrients from food. Lastly, describe fission and budding. Fission in fusion. Sorry, the cells, not the cells, the organisms. Let's use the cell example. A cell would like its organelles would go to either side of the cell, and like some separator would grow between them and separate them basically. And when it separates them, you have two cells. However, budding, the organism would just bud out of the previous organism. Like, imagine that's the organism. It just buds out of it, and you have two organisms. Of course, after going through like multiple stages, in order to ensure that both organisms get like an equal amount of organelles or organs, whatever. And for the previous question in the previous section, describe animal digestion. Well, we did answer this just kind of in the second question. However, we'll just go over it again. Animal digestion, we have two types of digestion, complete and incomplete. And animal digestion in general would take the nutrients out of the food. However, the efficiency would depend on the type of digestive system, whether it was incomplete or complete. And yeah, that is pretty much it for the second section, and let's move on to the last. So for the last section, invertebrate evolution. Okay, so invertebrates started with the multicellular sponges. The sponges would represent the first evolution of organisms at the multicellular stage of invertebrates. However, they still lack like a lot of traits. They lack chitin, cell wall. They lack tissue, civilization, whatever, and a lot of things. Okay, so then invertebrates got tissues. The tissues were first evolved in jellyfish. However, they were not like real or true tissue. It was just two embryonic cell layers: the endoderm, which was the outer cell layer, and the ectoderm, which was the endoderm. the ectoderm and the endoderm. The endoderm was the inner cell layer. Endo for inner and ecto for outer. Okay. So yeah. Then the invertebrates got the radial symmetry. Radial symmetry allows for first of all, radial symmetry, as I mentioned earlier, is being able to divide it into two identical halves. An examples on radial symmetry are beetles and a jellyfish, as we mentioned earlier. Later, evolution of animals led to bilateral symmetry, which led to civilization. Now, civilization. Or as I mentioned earlier, the evolution of a brain, basically. Yeah, civilization was the first step in the evolution or formation of a brain. Yeah, there's not much to say about it. Just know that bilateral symmetry is connected with civilization, and civilization is the formation of a brain. Then we got the mesoderm. The mesoderm. Okay, so what is a mesoderm? A mesoderm is just like a middle layer between the ectoderm and the endoderm. And it would allow for the formation of organs later on, such as respiratory, not only organs, but like systems in general, such as respiratory system, circulatory system, what else? Digestive system too, and yeah. Now the collium. The collium is a fluid-filled body. Okay, so while I was editing the video, I discovered that it's called cilium and not collium as I used to pronounce it. I'll later fix that in the video. I'll start calling it cilium, but just a heads up from now. You can go back to watching the video. Is a fluid-filled body cavity, and it completely encloses the mesoderm. It's found in all vertebrates and most invertebrates, and I think it would also allow for the evolution of systems like circulatory, digestive, whatever. So yeah, but I'm not 100% sure if it allows to do that. Moving on, segmentation. Okay, so segmentation is would allow for increased variety and flexibility in a wide range of motions. Segmentation is basically when it's found in arthropods and when they grew limbs, basically like legs. And these legs would allow for, as I said, increased flexibility, and yeah, it would make the animal more flexible and able to move, or able to better move, because its legs will be segmented or joined together, and it then led to joint appendages and walking legs. I mentioned that. I just wanted to read it off the paper. Okay, so finally we got wait, is that the last thing? Yeah. We got invertebrates got the notochord. The notochord is like a stiff support rod in chordates, and it runs along the whole body. And its main function is for supports the animal. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's go to the summary now. Many important traits evolved in vertebrates, including multicellularity, tissues, organs, radial and bilateral symmetry, also civilization. What else? The mesoderm, I guess, same as organs. The complete digestive system, though we kind of mentioned that earlier. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, don't forget to include the segmented body and notochord. These two are very important if it came in a question or something. So yeah, now for the review questions. Distinguish among asymmetry, radial symmetry, and bilateral symmetry. So asymmetry is not having symmetry. Radial symmetry is it's like when you divide it into two equal halves, and yeah, being able to divide something into two equal halves. And lastly, bilateral symmetry is when those two equal halves are like three-dimensionally symmetrical or three-dimensionally equal. And bilateral symmetry would allow for cephalization. Define cephalization. What's the relationship to bilateral symmetry? Okay, so cephalization is the formation of a brain, and how is it related to bilateral symmetry? It grows basically in when a brain is formed, it would grow in it would have bilateral symmetry. It would grow in a bilateral symmetrical way, I guess. What is a mesoderm? A mesoderm is a middle layer between an ecto and an endoderm, and it allows for the formation of organs and organ systems, whatever. Name an invertebrate with a mesoderm. Roundworms. Yeah, that's a good example of roundworms. Define a cilium. Okay, so a collium. How is it pronounced? A collium? I think it's pronounced cilium. I'm not sure. I'll just put it in a square, I guess. Okay, so what invertebrates have a true cell? Okay, so let's define it first. Where's the definition? Can't believe I forgot it. Oh wait, no, I just remembered. Okay, it's like I'm reading out the paper. It's a fluid-filled body cavity which completely encloses the mesoderm, and as I said, it would allow for organ development. Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah, allows for organ development because it provides support for the mesoderm. If it provides support for something, that would lead to organ development. So it technically does lead to organ development. What invertebrates have a true cilium or collium? I'm not sure. Anyways, so we have mollusks like snails and clams, squids. These would have a true cilium. And what else? The Annelida would also have a true cilium. Annelida are like earthworms, marine worms, leeches. Yeah. What is segmentation and why is it advantageous? Okay, so segmentation is what allows you to make joint appendages and legs, basically. And why is it advantageous? Because it would make moving and walking in general easier and more flexible. Moving on. Compare and contrast incomplete and complete digestive system. Why is a complete digestive system more efficient? Okay, that should have been in the last section. I'm not sure why it's in this section. We didn't really talk about... Okay, it's not important why. Let's just answer the question. So, let's start with the incomplete. Incomplete, well, we defined them like a million times, so let's just say which one is more efficient and why. The complete digestive system is much more efficient, because instead of the food just going to the stomach then coming out, it would go to the stomach, then to the intestines, large intestine and the small intestines, which allows for maximum for like using which allows you to drain the food out of the nutrients, and like take every single drop of nutrients from the food, or yeah, you get it. Then the incomplete digestive system, the incomplete would be less efficient, because all you're doing is just taking it to your stomach, digesting the food in the stomach, and spitting it out, which would not be the most efficient, because you're not taking full advantage of your food. Some stuff might not be broken fully in the stomach. And yeah, that was pretty much it. There's a table, but I will not really go over it, because it's just memorization. I don't think I'll help you memorize it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. See you in the next video, I guess.